Hey, so today we're going to be talking about Jupiter in the first. So if I'm talking about the first house is your appearance, it is your physical body, but it's also the path that you're taking in life. And so Jupiter in the first really translates to a belief in self. You believe in your journey, you believe in your path and what you can do with that. You believe in your power and not in any vague terms. You believe like if there's something you need to do, you're like, yeah, I can do it. And then you go do it. So for example, if you're like, hey, I can't quit smoking. And then maybe your backstory is like, well, my dad was a smoker, my mom was a smoker, I've been smoking for 20 years, I've tried to quit multiple times and I can't. These are all the reasons why I can't quit smoking. This is what solidifies the belief of that in my mind. But if you're a Jupiter in the first house, even though that person still wants to quit smoking, if you're a Jupiter in the first house, you're like, yeah, all that's true, but I can still do it because it's me. Jupiter's belief and Jupiter's faith in yourself, faith in your path, faith in your journey, faith in where you want to go. So I'm going to link this video by this YouTuber named Olivia D'Andrea, and it was talking about how everyone thought that you could not run a mile in under 4 minutes. That's a belief that's put out by science and then accepted into the conscious and then subconscious minds of everybody. And then this one man was like, no, I'm going to break that. And so he set out to run a mile under 4 minutes. He did. And after he did, then all these other people started doing it because the belief that it was possible was there. But you always have that belief. Like, that's always in you. You're always that guy that's like, no, I can do that. Or I can overcome or set the goals that I want to set. And it doesn't mean that you're always out to prove everybody wrong, or you're not like a delusional or narcissistic in any way. Like, yeah, I can do it, fuck science. You're not like that, but you're more like, I can do what I think I can do. No matter what it is, you ponder about it and you're like, yeah, I can do that. And that's really what makes all the difference. I mean, the old school quote, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're probably right. That just holds true for so much of us. So much of us don't even try to do things or step outside the box because we just already think, oh, I can't do it. We already see us failing. And the beautiful thing about Jupiter in the first is that you don't I won't say you don't have that because you're a human being, and so self-doubt would undoubtedly be part of your life experience here, but you just don't believe it as strongly because you want it. So you're like, yeah, I could do it. Why couldn't I do it? I really think Jupiter in the first has a lot of similarities to Jupiter in the 10th. For example, like, you believe in your journey. So for example, like a kid who always wanted to be blank. You can do that, and I think that drive to be what you want to be in the 10th and in the first is kind of the same, because it's like, hey, I've always wanted to be an actor, so that's 10th. I've always wanted to, how do I do this? How do I connect these two? I've always wanted to be an actor, but when I show up to the audition, I'm the person who believes that I'll get a call back. Imagine if you go to, I think we've all done it when you go to things like job interviews or auditions for things or whatever, and you're just like, I'm here, but I don't really think I'm going to get it. When you show up thinking you're going to get it, a lot of times you do. I'll tell you guys a quick side story. So I had a cousin of mine, and he's a huge 12th house stellium, so there's not a lot of confidence in the self. And my aunt, which is his mom, had a friend who was the manager at Home Depot. And she was like, yeah, my son needs a job. And they were like, okay, well, tell him to come in for an interview. We're pretty much going to hire him anyway, but we just have to at least meet him and put on the social niceties as if he's going through the process. But it's pretty much a shoo-in. So he went to the interview and he blew it. And she was like, how the hell did you blow it? Like, they were already hiring you because they're my friend. Like, what happened? And they were like, well, he just looked like he didn't want to be there. And I know that he has this 12th house thing and like this low self-confidence. And so I felt like he didn't really believe that he could do it or would get it, or maybe he was offended because he felt like he was only getting it for his mom. Something about it in his interview wasn't believable, and they were like, no, you don't get the part. Not because you weren't qualified, not because we didn't want you, not because our mind was already made up before you even walked in here just based on who your mom was, but because of you didn't really believe in your own self. So Jupiter in the first, you often believe in yourself when you go to interviews, when you go to auditions, when you apply for schools, when you apply for jobs, when you walk up to a girl or a guy, when you start your own business, you believe in yourself. And you may be lucky, because Jupiter is luck, to know what you want to do and to know your path at a young age. A lot of people, you know, are well into their 20s and 30s, and they're like, I think I know now what my calling is. And if you're a Jupiter in the first, you might just be blessed with knowing that at 11 or 12. And so you just get a jump start and a head start on everybody of what you're supposed to be doing while you're here on this earth. You are optimistic and positive no matter what. My brother has Jupiter in the first house, and he also has a Saturn, but I believe Jupiter's first. And like, it was so funny to watch the comparison of us, because like when we were kids, like I have a 12th house stellium and it's in Scorpio, so it's like heavy sign, heavy house placement. So anything that bad happened there growing up, I would just be like, oh my God, and I would be like sad and crying about it and talking about it and thinking about it all day. And he would just be like, yeah, well, I'm about to go to the park. And I would just be like, how can you go to the park at a time like this? But like, because I was 12th house, I was delving into what I felt and what happened. And there's nothing really wrong with that, but I saw the buoyancy and the lightness of a Jupiter in the first house person who could be like, I'm not gonna let that affect me. I'm still gonna have a good day. Even though that thing happened, I'm gonna have fun. Also, he has a 5th house stellium, so that just adds to the whole fun theme. And he would just go to the park and play basketball with his friends and just have a great time. And I think you, with Jupiter in your ascendant, it's like a North Star. It's like a buoyancy thing for you to keep you light, to keep you positive, uplifted, happy, grounded, and not too sucked into whatever struggles that you may be going through. The quote, never down for long, I think so applies to Jupiter in the first house. Similar to Sagittarius ascendant, I mean, you're just not, no matter what it is, you're just not really going to be like bitching about it and all down about it forever. And it's just anything, hurricane, personal trauma, adversity within your own sphere of whatever that means to you. Excuse me. You don't get stuck in the sadness of it for too long. And you can feel it. It's not like Jupiter in the first house people are just like immune to sadness. No, you could feel it, but you will not wallow in it. You'll constantly be drawn to the lighter. You know, it's like when you have water and oil. It's like you can shake it, but after a couple of minutes, it's going to start to separate and settle and things go back. And your natural tendency is to be very buoyant and light, you know, and you're always looking on the bright side. If anything bad happens to you, if you get fired, you're like, I ain't really like that job anyway. It was too far. You know, if your partner cheats on you, you're like, she couldn't cook for shit. Like, you're just okay. And it's not to say that that's your first response. It may or may not be, depending on how your Jupiter is, but it's often where you will get. So you will often find the bright side and the joy in your life, even when things aren't going the best, because there's always some bit of joy. I mean, I'm not thinking of the more extreme examples, but just like the examples that I said, like when sometimes things happen to you, we focus on the sad and not focus on sometimes like, oh, I got evicted from my apartment and I had to move back home, but now I see my mom more. Or I don't fucking know, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, you can see the silver lining always. And you always carry a sense of humor with you, and that will really help bridge the gap between whatever bad things you're going through and your positive attitude is to just kind of joke about it and have a sense of humor about it. This is very much similar to Sagittarius ascendant. As you have this lightness and this positivity and this humor about you, you will attract others to you. You have the kind of energy where people are like, yeah, I kind of like this kid. I like that guy over there. I like him. That's the kind of like energy and charm and charisma and swagger that you bring to the table. Cheerful, happy, optimistic, funny. You're just a good time. You're the person, the guy or girl that people are like, if I have a birthday party, they're like, I want them there. If I'm having a get together, graduation, or we're getting together for game night, we're like, I want this person there. And the reason this is because you naturally draw other people to you because they want to soak up your good energy. They feel it. I mean, the first house is how you're introducing yourself one-on-one. The 10th house, and I think there's a lot of similarities between the first and the 10th. The 10th is like how people see you, but it could not be true. And these people don't even have to ever see you physically or personally or ever really personally talk to you. The first house is people you go up to and shake their hand and say, hey, my name is so-and-so. And so you're greeting them with this optimism and this positivity and this cheerful attitude, and they're just like, they want to be around you, they want to soak it up because they want to keep feeling it. And you'll naturally draw positive experiences to you to keep you happy, and then when you're walking around happy, people see you, and so it's just like a cycle. They see you being happy and they're like, hey, I want him to do this happy thing with me, and then it's just like, then you do that, and then you're even more happy, and then somebody else sees you, and it's just like a cycle that keeps going. So my brother, like, he went to the Bahamas when he was like 8, and I just thought that was like hilarious. Like, he just draws things like that into him. Like, most of us, you know, me, because I'm all introverted in 12th house, I gotta save and like find out who I want to go with. But he was just such a nice kid, and he had so many friends. So when people would be like, their families would be doing stuff, they'd be like, oh, I want to invite my friend Demetrius. And then he would just like have all these amazing experiences. I remember, like, this happened like 2 or 3 times where, like, you know how movies come out on Friday, and I'm just like, we're sitting at home, and we went to school this day because it's Friday. It's just a regular Friday. We went to school and came home, and it would be like, boom, 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 in theaters today, opening day. And he would just walk up behind me, and he would be like, yeah, that movie's all right. And I would just be like, who took you to see this movie? Like, you're like 5 years old and you're just like doing all this shit. I'm like, who is taking you to see this shit? Who is taking you to these places? Like, that's how it was. So when you're a Jupiter in the first, this person, whether it be somebody you know or whether it be you, you're just always involved in joyous activities or people inviting you to joyous activities. And so you constantly have positive things to report. You have, and this is because you have an enthusiasm and a zest for life, and that is where life will bless you. So life, and this is the beautiful part about Jupiter, will bless you with the things that make you happiest. If money makes you the happiest, Jupiter will bless you with money. That's the beauty of it. It's like a catch-22. If relationships make you happy, Jupiter will give you a lot of them. You have just a zest for life, just for being alive, just for being here. Ascendant is the first minute you slide out or are pulled out, or however, from your mom's womb, and you take your first breath into the world. It is life. It is all of it that hits you. It's the science, it's the people, it's the experiences, it's the times, the culture, it's the music, it's the food, it's the everything. And you love it. It's like that first breath you took, and that none of us remember, but we all took that first breath of life at one point. And just imagine, like, when you inhaled that, you were so happy. You were so happy to be here. That's what I'm thinking your birth was probably like. You're probably like, you probably don't remember, but when you're a baby and you like came and you like realized subconsciously, like, oh shit, like I'm out the womb now, like I'm alive now. That first breath was probably extremely joyous, like, yeah, like I'm here now, like, and you carry that with you through your life, and you're just blessed with overall good fortune. I mean, The first house is your path in life. And so there's no specific type of Jupiterian energy that you get. It's not like Jupiter in the second, where it's like this person's life will be blessed with money, or it's not like the seventh, relationships, or 11th, friends, or 8, like deep transformative experiences. It's similar to the 12th in that it's like really ambiguous. There is no one channel that I think it's going to show up in. It's just going to show up overall, you know, and whatever overall is to you, because we all live such different lives. So it's just really a beautiful, it's similar to the 12th in that it doesn't have to take one form, but I think it's super beautiful because it's right in front of you at all times, whereas the 12th, it can be kind of hidden or more subtle. Yours is just like more overt. And so it's one of the best house placements. And I don't want to say best because none are bad, especially with Jupiter. There's no Jupiter house that I'm like, ugh, I don't want that one. Like, they're all really good. But I'll say it's one that I'm kind of envious of. And because there's no one way it shows up and it's about your path in life, you'll have good chunks of time in your life. Like, a Jupiter in the 5th house person may have fun experiences. A Jupiter in the 4th house person may have a strong, close-knit family unit. A Jupiter in the 1st can have good chunks of time. Like, you'll look back and be like, well, I really enjoyed my high school experience. Or when I was a child, maybe I had an abusive childhood, but I really enjoyed going to school. I enjoyed that chunk of time. Something about chunks of time, areas of your life, big milestones in your path will be joyous. The sign it's in will really help you. So for my brother, it's in Taurus. So lots of lavish gifts and lavish experiences. Things like that, abundance. For somebody who it might be in Cancer, you may love your town or your home city where you're from. Like, maybe you just get so much joy out of your community. Jupiter in Libra, you may have so many friends and social contacts that just make your life better. And you're very confident and independent. Remember, the 1st house is the house of self. It's the Aries, it's the baby, it's the me. And when you got Jupiter here, that's great for doing things on your own, being by yourself, not needing anybody's approval, being totally okay to walk a path, because remember the 1st house is your path. Being totally okay to walk a path by yourself, alone, a path less traveled, a path not so praised. You're okay with that. You're like, yeah, once again, you're like, I can do it. Like, even if nobody else wants to do it with me, even if nobody else believes in it, like how I believe in it, you can do it. That's how you feel about it. You usually won't be a person with dependent type of tendencies. Like, when I was in high school, like, it was just like this big cafeteria, and then like on the side in like a corner there was like where you go take your tray, and like random girls would just come up to me that never talked to me, like, ever, and they'd be like, oh, are you about to go put your tray up? And I'd be like, yeah, Kelly. And then they would be like, oh, like, and then they would just like start walking with me, or they would like awkwardly wait around for me to get up and put my tray away. And it was just like, and no shade to them, because like I'm talking about like 12 and 13-year-olds here when you're like self-conscious and shit like that, but there's people like that. Well, and those same people did it into high school, and there's some people, many people, who still do it as adults, where they're like, I don't want to go somewhere by myself, I don't want to do this by myself, I don't want to be vegetarian because people are going to laugh at me, or I don't want to run around my neighborhood in the morning because people will, you know, make fun, or I'm scared to share my beliefs, or whatever, because it's not the most popular thing, or it's just maybe just unique to you. And you're okay with like, no, I can take my trek by myself. Like, I'll walk with you. And I was always that person because I'm Sag ascendant. So similarities here. I really connect to this placement. I'll walk with you because I can see that you want me to walk with you, but I don't need you to walk with me. I can go do it by myself. I can go, you know what I mean, be what I want to be on my own. So you really don't mind taking your own path. Like if everybody in your family wants you to be a doctor and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. Many people, you'll be surprised, cave into that and do what they think they need to do. They cave into the pressure. They can't take if the people around them are mad at them and they don't have their support. And you can just be like, no, I'm going to be, you know, fill in the blank for you. And you really don't have a problem with being seen. You really don't have a problem with being on stage. You don't have a problem with being in your glory and in your element. And I would say, especially if this is in a fire sign, Aries for sure, Leo, oh my God, and Sagittarius will focus more on the humor, but you don't mind being seen, you don't mind being on stage. And that really has to do with if you're going off on your own path. If there are 20 people walking this way and there's one person walking this way, there's going to be 20 sets of eyes being like, why is that person over there? So you have to be, you know, this is just inherent with this placement that you have to be okay with that. You can feel really comfortable to speak on like behalf of your company in front of like a lot of people for business meetings. You can be okay being the leader or being the head of something, being in charge of something, speaking for a group, things like that. So you're very childlike and playful, youthful, and so you probably like to play a lot of games, joke a lot, have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of drinking, a lot of eating, a lot of smoking. There's a lot of everything that is not necessarily hedonistic, but seen as fun. You will do that in excess in your life. Always at places where you can be seen and show off. Now this takes the elements of fun and joviality and the extreme confidence in self, and it puts them together. People, let's be honest, they don't just dress up and go to the club because they want to talk to their girls. No, you want to be seen, you want somebody to approach you, you want to take pictures, like that's why you do it. So you'll find yourself frequenting a lot of these places like bars, concerts, clubs. These are perfect. They're fun places, but you're also expected to show up and have a level of confidence. You're to look good and to be dancing and to be socializing with your group and even with strangers. So you'll find these people there a lot. You'll find yourself at a lot of places that are themed for fun. So Six Flags, Sky Zone, the little trampoline park, like I said, concerts, parties, things like that. And you can be so funny. Like you have no problem showing off your funny side, showing off your humor. You're never scared to make a joke. If you laugh at it and you think it's funny, then you'll be like, I know they're gonna think it's funny. Because remember, you got the belief in yourself and you're showing that joviality. So that just all kind of works together. You may really lean on this when you're facing adversity out in the world. So say you have a job interview and you're late. If you're Mercury, you know, if you're very Mercury dominant or Mercury in the first house, your path to try to deal with it might be like talking somebody over, talking really fast, using your words. If you're Venus, you might come in, you might try to flirt, schmooze, you know what I mean? Make the person forget or not care so much that you were late. And if you're Jupiter in the first, I would say you probably make a joke, probably come in smiling, and just be very good-natured and optimistic about it. And since you're meeting somebody with that, like you're ascending, you're meeting them, you're meeting their ascendant in their whole chart, they will receive that from you and be like, I'm not saying what they will do. I'm not saying be late for an interview. I'm just saying they could feel your lightness and your optimism about it. You know, if you're a Saturn in the first house, you might be like, damn, I'm late. I might as well not even go. Like, that's a very Saturn in the first house kind of response. But because you're Jupiter, you might go, smile, laugh it off, make a joke, and you might just charm the pants off of them and still get the job, regardless if you were late or not, because you believed you can. And if we compare it, like I said, to the Saturn, the believing that you can, sometimes that just makes all the difference. That's all it takes is belief in self. Physically, because it's about your physical body, you can be very big. You can be very tall and lanky, very similar to Sagittarius Ascendant, which I have a video on. If it's my first video, if you guys want to go watch it. You could be short and wide, or you could just be very big and wide, just both. You may have problems with your physical body that result from the excess of things that you put in your body. So remember, you like to do things that are good times. You like to eat a lot. Watch what you're eating, because if you're taking in too much of salt, carbs, butter, you could have problems excess of that. If you're doing too much drinking, your liver can suffer. If you're just doing too much of something with your physical body and you're running it ragged, it's like a car. You gotta let it rest. You gotta get it an oil change. You gotta heal it and let it regenerate so that you can go out and have more fun times, you know. Don't just run it ragged. Don't just abuse it because you're trying to. Don't abuse your physical body because your spiritual self wants to take in all these fun experiences. You can have more fun experiences when you're healthy. But you may need your clothes tailored, made special. You may have to shop at Big and Tall. You may have to shop at special stores. You may need to get things specially made. Shaq, for example, I don't know if he has Jupiter in the first, but he had to get a special bed made and special shoes because he was so big. I'm Sag Ascendant, and I have Jupiter conjunct my sun, which my sun is conjunct my ascendant. So I cannot wear many things, but often shirts don't come to the wrist for me. I mean, this one does, but a lot of times the shirt will be like down here. I have to get jeans that are specially long. Like, I can't just buy jeans from anywhere. They have to be my size, and like they'll have like 4 short, 4 regular, 4 long. I gotta get the long, and even sometimes the long is like, could be a little longer. So that might be when you're trying to dress your body, or you're trying to work with your body in this life, might be things you gotta look out for. And you may fluctuate your weight a lot. It may be like a yo-yo. You may be skinny, and then you might like go to college and gain 50 pounds or 30 pounds because you're drinking and partying, eating and not exercising. Then you might graduate and be really healthy. Then you might go up and down. So it can be very much like a yo-yo. You may grow taller or bigger faster in life than other people. So this will show itself when you're a kid. When I was a kid and we had to line up in like size order, I was always in the back. I was as tall as the teacher sometimes when I was in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. I was taller than my mom by like 12. Yeah, and you might hit puberty first. This goes for men and women. You might hit puberty first because your body's like, boom, your body's just growing. You know, it's fast. You can have very exaggerated movements. So a loud laugh, somebody that's like always using hand gestures. You know, if you look at them across the room, they're just like they might be like that a lot. People might see you like that, and once again, that's going to attract them to you. They're going to be like, oh shit, like what are they talking about? What story that they're telling? And they're going to want to come up and talk to you. A very goofy demeanor and a very goofy appearance. Shirts that are very goofy, or let's say goofy things, like shirts with like memes on them and stuff like that, is stuff that they may be caught wearing. Also very loose, comfortable clothing. You're very big, very exaggerated. You like to have fun. You don't want to be restricted because that's Saturn. You want to feel free and fun, and so things that are comfortable and practical will be for you. You may have a specific ailment, and this will be very dependent on your sign and the aspects and then your own personal life. Some part of your body may be too big. So cardiomegaly, I believe that's when you have an enlarged heart. Some people who Jupiter in Cancer, you may have like triple D's that are just natural. Big hands, that could also be Cancer the crab. Jupiter and Scorpio, big genitals. I'm not trying to be funny. Jupiter and Sag, very big hips, waist area. Jupiter and Gemini, big mouth. Oh my God, Jupiter and Aries, you might have like a huge head. So you're not all just fun and games. You do have a lot of wisdom because you know yourself and you know your tendencies. I mean, how many times have we met somebody in life where they're like, I'm gonna do this, and you're just like, this is the 1,000th time you said that this week. No, you're fucking not. But they don't even see themselves. They don't even see their patterns and their tendencies and, you know, what we see. So you know yourself well, and that gives you a lot of wisdom about yourself. You might be a person that might be like, hey, the stop smoking thing, for example. I know I can quit smoking despite this adversity, and I believe I can, and so I will. But I also know that when my friend Johnny comes around and he lights a cigarette, then that makes me want to light one. So maybe because I know myself and I believe I can, I should stay away from Johnny for a little bit, or tell Johnny, don't smoke around me. Those are ways that you can bring it all together. And I feel like when I was writing this, I was like, these things are so like, I don't get how they connect. Like humor and then bigness and then like belief. It doesn't seem like it connects, but when you really start to look at like specific scenarios, you can see how the Jupiterian energy does connect. And in doing so and in knowing your tendencies, you know how to create joy from yourself. You love being alone, not so much in the 12th house, but like you can be happy with a group of people, like at a party, and then if they all went home, you would just still be happy. Like it doesn't fade or wear off. Whereas in Jupiter in their 12th, it's like I kind of would rather everybody go. I would be happier. So little overlap, but not quite the same. You enjoy watching your own evolution and your own maturation. You may go back and like look through photo albums or old school pictures of you and just keep flipping like, oh, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Like you enjoy watching your own growth and your own life unfold. You'd be like, oh, that's when I did this, and then that's when I reached this milestone and that milestone. You like, it's like watching a plant, but it's like you're watching your own self and like you're the plant. You speak up for yourself and you represent yourself very well. So like if there's 10 employees and like the boss is just like being a dick, you have a real joy and ease in being like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I feel XYZ. You present yourself well. And once again, you do it with a charm and you do it with humor, and so it can be well received. Versus maybe like a Saturn person who may just start complaining, or a Mercury person who may not stop talking about it. This is an example that I face a lot. So like if you're in an Uber, for example, and it's like too hot, a lot of times like I'll just sit there because I'm a 12th house person. I'll be like, damn, it's like it's hot as shit in here. But if you have Jupiter in the first, you can really be okay with like being like, hey, can I crack a window? Or just voicing your opinion and just voicing how you feel in that situation. And you invest a lot in yourself and you spend lavishly on yourself because you feel like you deserve it. And so the sign, or really whatever you're interested in, is going to be how you do that. But like if you're an actor and you want to take an acting class, you have no problem investing and splurging in on yourself, your path, your journey, shit like that. If you're an artist, you're like, yeah, I'm going to spend $200 on art supplies. You're okay with that. On the negative side, you may have a very large ego.
You can suggest whoever you want, but guess what? Only thing you do is you sit back and you interview me. I didn't ask it. Listen, you called me to do the interview. I didn't call you.
And always feel like you have to be the center of attention. You may feel like you have to be on stage. You may fight for the position to speak or to talk or to lead the group, even when everybody else is like, hey, like, can I have a turn? Or I'm sick of this guy, or whatever. And you really like to discover, explore, and travel far and wide, because this is part of your not scared to be alone. And this is the travel and the Sagittarian aspect of Jupiter in your first house. So if you're like on vacation, this is probably something we can all relate to. And like the people that you're on vacation with, they just kind of like want to sit in the house. You're like, no, but I want to go do this. Like, you'll be like, all right, I'm about to go do it. Like, you don't mind doing it by yourself. You don't mind being alone, and you need to travel, expand, explore. The tendency to teach could come up here. So you have a lot of wisdom, joviality. Like I said, you've traveled, you've experienced a lot because you believed in yourself. So you have experiences that I think probably a lot of people don't have, and you want to share. This is, like I said, wisdom. So you want to share that Jupiterian knowledge, and you have confidence in yourself. You have confidence in what you know, and you have confidence in teaching. So you could very well be a teacher. You could very well be the teacher that everybody likes. Everybody's got that favorite teacher, that happy teacher, that fun teacher. This is the fun class. Physical competition will be cool. Games like Survivor, you'll be lucky at. And then your first impression, you can come on really strong. So if it could be good or bad. Like, it could be soft like a Pisces or a Cancer or a Libra, or maybe very sociable like an Aquarius, or it could be kind of douchey if it's like in Aries or Leo. Not saying that they are douchey, but then like it's afflicted in those signs. You can come on a little too strong to people. People might be like, whoa, 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 tone it down a little bit. So those are ways that, and you really got to look at your own personal Jupiter to see how that is. You can be bossy, you can be selfish, you can be always in the mirror, always with a camera in your face. You're very much present, and you're a big presence in each moment, but if afflicted, it can often seem like you're kind of like taking the camera and like shoving it back to you. Overall, you believe that life, yours in particular, has the ability to turn out the way that you want it, and you believe in the power that you have to make it so. And you believe in having a good time. You believe in joviality. You believe in, like I said, that first breath that you took, that we all took, that we all don't remember, is just so joyous, and you just want to soak up the most of that, and then spread the most of that, and experience all of that, and just this constantly inward and outward flow of Jupiterian energy that just kind of builds and snowballs and avalanches. And it's really a beautiful placement, and it shows up in no one particular form, and that's the beauty of it. Make sure that you're moderate in some areas. You know, every meal's not Thanksgiving. Every time you drink, you don't, it's not freshman year in college. Make sure you have some sort of boundaries in place and some type of moderation in place so that you can continue to have joyous experiences for a very long time. And that's pretty much it. Overall, this is one of the best placements you can have. I'm so jealous of my brother for this placement and for other people I've known who have it. It's like a lucky star, lucky North Star at the head of your life. But those are some of the good and bad, the pitfalls of, and the ups of Jupiter in the first. So that's it. More videos coming more frequently. And like always, rate, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you thought was wrong, whatever. And tell me what you want to see next. Okay.